Okay, welcome. This is KDVC, the Battle Hour. And we got with us today Michael,
Oh, yes.
the lead vocalist and founder of the band Hemotoxin from Pittsburgh, California.
That's right. Not Pennsylvania. A lot of people get that wrong. You would be surprised how many people alone in the Bay Area think we're from Pennsylvania.
Now, how are you doing today, Mr. Michael?
I'm doing fine. I'm going to go get some Johnny Rockets after this is over, enjoy the rest of my day. But right now, it's time for business.
Indeed it is, sir. Now, I got some questions here for you.
All right.
Questions that took me, a long time to put together,
About 5 minutes.
15 minutes of my life, That's basically the generic questions you ask most bands.
Yeah.
The main one is, when did this band first come together?
Okay. Well, I'll really get detailed with this. So, it started around July 2010. Now, I was in a band called Aeon of Death at the time, which was our drummer now. That's the band me and him were in before this, and I don't know, just wasn't really my style anymore, and I was really not involved with the writing process, and I had all these ideas, and oddly enough, I was at Universal Studios during all this time, and I texted the guy who was really like the leader of the band, Daniel. I said, Daniel, I have this really bad shoulder problem that I developed over the last year from playing guitar like a retard with my back hunched, or whatever. And I had a really bad shoulder at the time, so I told him I had to quit, and I went to a chiropractor and whatnot, got that all sorted out. And then towards the end of July, I started writing music with my drum machine that I would hook up to my old stereo, and I would record with that, and and we wrote that first song that we have. If anybody who knows who we are have probably heard it. It's called Biohazard. I wrote that with a drum machine.
Oh yeah, so I guess that's the end of the first question. Kind of ended abruptly. But the next question is, how did all of you meet? You said you met Daniel, I believe, or your drummer in the previous band. How did you meet the rest of them?
Well, me and Brandon, we go back years. Like our freshman year of high school back in 2008, I saw him in my I forgot what it was, like a secondary English class that they had everyone take. But I met him. I was wearing my Slayer shirt. The first thing he ever said to me was Slayer, and the rest is history. But he didn't really come into the picture till about a couple of years ago. It was first me and Joey Banducci, who he was the original drummer of Necrosin, and me and him started jamming, and then he met Josh and brought Josh over to his house, and that's how I met Josh. And then we went through a couple members. We had Clayton from Apothecary on guitar for a while. We had Jimmy Hill from Necrosin, who actually played guitar with us for about a month. And then eventually Hunter, he hit me up on Facebook wanting to try out. I hadn't really heard much of him. The only thing I heard of him was this band called Silent Redemption, which if you know who that is, you know who that is, and I don't have to say anything about it. But I'd say I was pretty questionable about him, but when I met him and we jammed out, I knew he was the right guy, and now you have it, me, Hunter, Josh, and Brandon.
Well, the next question was going to be, who are the previous members, but you sort of answered that already.
Yes, sir.
Next question I was wondering is, what are some of these bands have influenced you? Now, I know, having known you, that Death is a big influence of you.
Oh, yes.
But what are some other bands?
Well, yeah, if you've heard like 1 second of our music, you already know Death is probably one of our biggest influences. But Death was a prominent influence on me when I first started. When I first started, the bands I was really into were kind of the more obscure bands. There's one from New York called Toxic. They were like a progressive power thrash band, and then this band from LA called Hexen, and then as time went on, I get into more music, and now I'm listening to a lot more death metal, like real death metal, like Obscura, Necrophagus, Cannibal Corpse. I've always been inspired by a lot of the older '90s prog death metal bands like Cynic and Atheist and stuff like that. Just a lot of progressive, I'd go as far as to say I've even been inspired by bands like Rush and old school R&B bands like Zapp and Roger and whatnot. And our influences are just there's so many, and they're so there's so many different ones. It's just kind of hard to name them all, but that's just the general few.
Now, of these bands you've mentioned, have you met any of them in, like, your travels or your experiences as a band? Have you met any of these bands that you've just talked about?
Oh yeah. Well, we played Slaughter by the Water, and one of the bands, just about every band on there has influenced me. Witch Haven, Autopsy, Exodus. And I got to meet all of them, and it was awesome because Exodus was the band that got me into metal. I remember when I was 13 years old and I heard the song Piranha, and it basically, along with Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, all those bands changed my life, and it got me into metal. And that's when I just, when I met them, I fanboyed out pretty much. I just said, when I first heard, talking to Chris from Autopsy, when I first heard Char Remains, I wanted to break someone's nose. Or talking to the guys in Witch Haven, I'd heard them since they put out the Black Thrash Assault demo, and I followed them ever since. And even with local bands like Hatchet, I really liked. Fog of War, who now I'm really good friends with, and hang out with them and play shows with them every once in a while. So those are just kind of the couple of bands that I've met before, my influences and whatnot. And it's always surreal to meet the person that got you into the lifestyle that you're involved with now. It's pretty sick.
The next question I was going to ask was, what the first song you guys wrote, and when did you perform it? But I believe you already answered that by saying, I think it was Toxic, I believe it was.
No. The first song, it was, I wrote it. It was called Biohazard, and then we performed it. Are you talking about live or?
Well, the next question was, when was the first show? So maybe that's kind of the same type of question. When was the first, show you guys did?
When it comes to the first show, it depends how you ask, because we did, our friend Josh Calder, who's a singer of Necrosin, he used to put on, every now and again, he'll put on shows in his garage. And so we did one of those shows. I think it was the second show ever he did in his garage. And that was our first experience playing to, a crowd of people, which is just all of our friends and whatnot. And that's when we first played, all the first couple songs, Shattered Surroundings, Biohazard, The Outsider, and all that great stuff. We played Spirit Crusher, too, from Death, oddly enough. And then our first real show was, Red House, February 11th, 2012. It was a packed bill. It was Apothecary, Demon Seed, Hatchet. Hysteria dropped off. Just so many bands. There were too many bands. Cold Grave played, I think, if anybody remembers them. So it's between the Josh Calder's garage, which was November 2010, and then Red House, February 2011. Depends which one you consider a show, but we'll always go back to Josh's garage as our first show.
Of all the shows you've played so far, what has been your best show that you played? Maybe a favorite one? I think similar, Slaughter by the Water would probably be your favorite show.
Oh, well, yeah, Slaughter by the Water probably. There's been too many fun shows where you get to hang out, because a lot of these venues nowadays don't really have backstage areas. So when you get off stage, you don't really got a place to go and lay down or nothing. But the only places that really do that are the Plea for Peace out in Stockton and the Phoenix Theater. And those are always the best shows to play because you can get off stage and, load off everything. And there's a couch right there for you to crash on, and it's always awesome. So those are some of my favorite shows to play. But, yeah, by far it's been Slaughter by the Water because that's, my surreal moment. They gave us these green passes that allowed us to go backstage on the Hornet and to get into the catering area. And even down there, they had places you could crash out on, and eating paninis with Henry from Witch Haven and hanging out with everybody. Dave Lombardo's enjoying a Pepsi in the corner. Just that kind of thing. It just blows my mind, and that's what made it one of my favorite shows.
Okay, so you guys have recently recorded your first album.
Yes.
How was it recording it? Where did you record it? How did it go? How was that experience? And how was the response for it been so far?
Well, the album Between Forever and the End, we recorded it with Scott Fuller of Abysmal Dawn, who we met at Slaughter by the Water. Basically, he's a real DIY guy. He doesn't have a big studio setup. He's got what he's got, and it sounds amazing. And he's real cool with pricing, and that business part of it with all paying him and everything, he was so cool about, and I thought it was so awesome, which made it a lot easier for us as a band because I don't really. I've had everything I've learned about management and everything with my own band. I've had to learn on my own. No one's really taught me anything, or no one's taken me aside to tell me certain things. Here and again, people will, but nothing major that I don't know already or have no idea about. But other than the business part, you know, playing and just getting everything done was just super smooth. It took us. We took 2 days on drums, which we did at his friend Julian's house, who has a mini studio set up in his garage, and we used Scott's drum set. He had it all mic'd up, sounded amazing. We used our snare, and that was real cool. You know, we spent 8 hours straight just sitting in that garage, just tracking drums all day. It took 2 days to do it all. We got it all done pretty quickly, and then, you know, being that we're not a rich band and we're not signed, and, you know, we don't have all the money in the world, we only could take a couple more days after that to do, you know, everything else, the rhythms and the guitars and everything. So I did all of my rhythms and all my leads back at Scott's house. We ran a PV Triple X through a Mesa cab, and that was real cool because PV Triple X are some of my favorite amps, and he was real cool. I had everything down to a T before I went in, so I made sure I could get everything done within that day. Laid down all my rhythms, laid down all of my leads in the one day. Hunter and Josh actually went up and Josh did his bass pretty quickly. Hunter laid down everything, and then I went back the Sunday because this was all over a weekend. So Friday I did my stuff, and then Saturday they went up, and then Sunday I came back. I touched up a few solos. I did my vocals, and that was that. And he was super cool about everything. Really cheap, really cool. Sound quality is amazing. He actually, when we recorded drums, he let me and Brandon stay at his house, which I thought was awesome because, you know, not many people would do that for us, and he did. And now I kind of just, you know, every time I see him, it's kind of cool, you know, because now I got a friend that's in a big band, Abysmal Dawn, and he recorded us, and now we just kind of got that, now we got that memory between all of us, and it's really cool. And probably on our next release, we'll be working with him again for sure. But yeah, he's probably one of the coolest people to record with that I've ever worked with, at least.
And how has the response been for that CD? I mean, I saw it on Bleaked and bootlegged online, so do you think that's a good response for?
Of course. I mean, if people are, you know, from the time that we've been releasing anything, there's always those crazy people in Europe that will bootleg everything and anything and will archive your music. When we put out like our first demo, there's this guy in Russia, I think, and he literally took all of our releases. I have no idea where he got any of it. He got them all, compiled them, and put them in a torrent, and everything, our first like couple demos and an EP, he had it all ready to torrent and download, and he added us on this on this website called Metal Archives. So, you know, it always starts with one person, the one, you know, dedicated person who's going to put all your stuff out, and then after that, people kind of caught on, and then once we put out the album, I mean, we've been getting nothing but good words about it. You know, even the small criticisms about possibly production and all this stuff have all been so minor because all the good words that people have had to say about it have just outweighed it. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome to know that, you know, all the time, effort, and money we put into this is really paying off now, because now we're getting people from Thailand. People want to buy our album. From Australia, people want to buy our album now. It's really cool because now, you know, it's getting kind of global. People are starting to hear about us, and yeah, so the response has just been great, and, you know, everybody's just had nothing but nice things to say about it, and that's all I've ever wanted.
Now, one of the last questions I'm asking is, what are some of the shows you guys looking forward to, and are there any, you know, tours or anything in the future?
Well, we got I'm not sure when this airs if we'll be able to attend any of these shows, but we have April 13th, which is this Saturday in Oakley at the Dirty Pirate Skate Shop. It's a big old festival filled with all these bands from the Pittsburgh, Antioch, Brentwood, Oakley area. Then after that, it's April 19th in Cupertino at the Refuge. All these just different bands: Septicemia, Apothecary, Dismembered Carnage. Like, I think there's like 8 bands on the bill. And then April 24th, we're going down to Santa Cruz and we're playing with Lich King, which, you know, is pretty awesome. I've talked with Tom over Twitter a couple times in the past, and I love Lich King. I think they're awesome, and it's going to be great to finally share a stage with them at their first time out here in California. And then after that, April 26th to the 27th, it's the Festum Carnis Festival in Soda Springs. It's a big old outdoors camping thing. It's going to be pretty amazing. Absu is on it, Witch Haven's on it, just a whole bunch of bands, even some locals. Archaea's on it, Necrosin, Xenotaph from Hayward is on it. Just a whole just bunch of bands. And then right now with May, we're going back to Santa Cruz actually, May 11th for something at UC Santa Cruz that I don't know too much about. I know it's happening, and it's May 11th. That's all I know. And then of course June 1st, the show at Burnt Ramen with your record label, which will be
yes, the one I'm still putting together.
Yes, that one, which hopefully by the time this airs, that will be a few weeks behind, so that people will have time to get out and go to that one, because that will be much fun. And we haven't been to the Burnt Ramen in a while, so that'll be pretty interesting.
So the last and final question I have for you.
Yeah.
It's a very hard one.
Okay.
You may need time to think about it. What do you see in your band's future? Like, do you see one of the majors coming, signing you, or do you see you guys just becoming, one of those local indie legends, like, a Testament or like an Exodus, where like maybe they're not as popular in, the United States, but popular all over the world, and people always say, well, what about this band? They're underrated and they're great. What do you see for your band?
It's always really hard to say, where we're gonna go, because life is so unpredictable. And I only hope that we can get noticed one day by someone major. I mean, everyone always tells us we have the talent and we have the sound. Now it's just about who we know and who's gonna take the time to notice us and give us a shot. A lot of bands from the Bay Area that are as young as us have gotten their shot. Rings of Saturn is one big one, because everyone knows who they are. And, they started out in Dublin, and now they're touring with Suffocation, which, is surreal. So, but for us, I can just hope that, a record label like Unique Leader or just something like that will pick us up and, get us up off our feet, and then get us out there and help us spread the music around, because that's all I could ever want for this band, is just to have us taken out and just go and just, be nomads on the road and play I want to play anywhere and everywhere pretty much across the country, which we'll also be getting that chance on a DIY tour that we've put together with our buddies in LA from Deceive. That's going to be June 26th to July 11th, and we're going from here to Chicago. We're hitting like pretty much the Southwest, and then up to Chicago, and then sort of the Northwest, and then back over to the Bay Area. So that's kind of like, that's our way of kind of trying to get ourselves out there nationally. But there's no better way than having a legit record label that will put us out there, and that's all I can hope for in the future. And if it happens, it'll be my dream come true. And if it doesn't happen, hopefully 20 years from now, someone's gonna pick up our CD and, see something that was kind of left behind at a bad time. Because right now our sound isn't exactly the most popular thing going on. It's really about the technical death metal style and the brutal death metal style, which we don't really conform to. I mean, we have technical songs, we have some, I don't know if you would call them brutal riffs, but we have a couple of heavy stuff. So just hope that someone notices and just see where it goes.
Well, thank you for coming in and giving us some of your time to interview. Yeah. And everybody, remember, this is Michael from Hemotoxin. Yep. Go on Facebook, look them up. If you like their music, purchase it. They have a new CD out.
It's Facebook.com/Hemotoxin. Pretty simple. And then all our other links for our merch and music and everything are right on there. It's a one-stop shop. Give us your money, please.
And if you like them, go see them in the show. Tell them you like them, Don't boo them in between sets, because that's what I do. Yes, that's what I did last show. Just don't do that. It's my job if you see me at the show. And that's about it. I mean, like I said, thank you for coming in.
Oh, hell yeah.
Michael from Hemotoxin. This has been KDVC, the Metal Hour. Next week we'll have Sidian and Dismembered Carnage come in for an interview.
Ooh.
Yay!
Yeah, I love those guys.
Yes, they're very good musicians, very good people. Thank you all for tuning in.
Metal.